Right, ladies and gentlemen, 7 o'clock, so we'll start the meeting of 26th of March 2025. First item on the agenda, public participation. There's a few of you here tonight. How many wish to speak? Yeah? Just yourselves, is it? Right, we have 15 minutes, so I think you were going to read a couple of letters out or something, were you? Or whatever.
Thank you. Firstly, do I just hand the letters in to you tonight, or do I need to read them all out?
It's entirely up to you.
Or should I just read bits?
You can
Summarise.
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 Yeah, obviously I'm not a public speaker, so bear with me.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. So I'll read mine, because I am a neighbour. I live in Cherry Tree Drive.
Yep.
So I am nearby, but I do not live in Hawthorne Grove. Like these two ladies here, they're both next door neighbours of the property. So I'm just from an more outside point of view.
Okay.
So I'm just, basically, I'll just read my letter, it's easier than me trying to think. I'm writing to show my objection to the proposed change of use to the above property from a 3-bedroom residential house to a house of multiple occupants. The planning application has been submitted requesting it change to a 9-bedroom HMO. The plans submitted show the 9 bedrooms are having double beds, potentially 18 adults living there. Parking on Hawthorne Grove is already ridiculous. I have to drive down there most days for work, with limited on-street parking and passing places. This increase of cars on the street is going to be very noticeable and will cause more of a strain on emergency vehicles who may be required. The planning permission is mentioning parking for 6 cars. 9 single unrelated adults will assumably have 9 separate vehicles. If each room is occupied by 2 adults, this could effectively be up to 18 additional vehicles. Also, visitors visiting may attend the property and they could, require more additional road parking, because obviously the drive will probably be full. 8 Hawthorne Grove is opposite the junction to Lime Grove. On-street parking will cause more problems on visibility when leaving the junction to Lime Grove. The front garden is basically now going to be turned into a 6-car car park. What if the car parked at the back needs to leave? All these other vehicles trying to leave onto the street to get the one out. The plan application states there will be no trade waste at the property, so the 9 occupants will all be sharing one waste bin, emptied fortnightly. This seems impossible, considering, they're all living independently. The house backs onto a playing field and the primary school is nearby. Who is going to vet the occupants? The applicant states the house is currently a 4-bed. It is not. It is advertised with your move as a 3-bed. It is also stated the property has been empty for 12 months. It has not. The previous owner passed away in August 2024. He lived there for over 40 years, brought up his family there. The most occupants there were the family of 4. The applicant states that it was most recently occupied by a family of 6, which again is inaccurate. The plan application was signed on the 27th of March by the applicant as the owner of 8 Hawthorne Grove. This is inaccurate as a sale has not been completed and it is still on the market but sold subject to contract. Basically, I've got photos of on-street parking as it is, different times of the day, and you will, once seeing them, you'll agree it's a bit ridiculous. So that's mine. I've got multiple here from, neighbours. I don't know which one to read, really. I wasn't expecting this. You want me to read yours, Wend? Okay. Right, so this is Wendy, who was Mr. Lith, whose house it was. It's his daughter. So she is writing, obviously, to object. The buyer has told lies. He says the property has been occupied by 6 people. The property has been on the market for 12 months. His address is 8 Hawthorne Grove. Also, he stated living at Monkmore Avenue in Oswestry, which is incorrect. He hasn't bought the property yet. It's sold subject to contract. Will the new occupants have a police check, like most landlords require? As for parking, it's a joke. So many occupants in one household is not very fair on the neighbours. If you've only got limited time, can I give some time to the actual next door neighbours?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, girls? Any of you? Have you written I don't mind saying it if you've written it down. Right. There you go. Go on, Lisa.
Hi, I live at number 10, which is not the adjoining side, which is a separate side. I'm in agreement with it. I'm opposing it. Like everything like Katie has said about the application and everything, I've picked up on as well. But the actual planning things he's put in, when you're looking at it, it actually comes over onto my property, which is Star Housing, and it actually comes over by far. So you're talking about 3 metres one way and another 1.5 metres. So because it goes straight and diagonally, he's gone straight down. So it is crossing over onto my boundaries. Like, are they going to be police checked? Because I've got a very vulnerable child. He's autistic, he's ADHD, and he's come from a domestic abuse relationship, so he has to be protected. And also, if they do start building and they come into the garden and build, my son has no, I don't know how to put this so nicely. Josh is ADHD, so he has no, his compulsion to climb, bounce on things and everything, he can't control it. He doesn't know any different. He will climb it. I could walk down the road, he's climbed a wall and jumped off. He's climbed a tree. So it's for danger reasons and health safety reasons. I'm not happy with it. And like discussed, the parking, it is horrific down there.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else on the issue?
Sorry guys, I've got the slimmest. Thank you. Oh hi, my name's Louise and I live at number 6 Hawthorne Grove, which is adjoined to number 8. I don't agree with it going through. I'm quite concerned regarding the noise that's going to be. There's, you know, at least 9 people. The parking now is really, really dangerous. My daughter went to pull off our drive the other day as a learner, and this car's parked on the path. You can't see. We near enough had a down there because the visible is right unreal. The cars are everywhere. I also have a looked after child that's placed with me, and he's a protected child from Wolverhampton. Now that's my big concern because this man is from Wolverhampton. Is he going to bring people from that area? Are they going to be our neighbours that are going to be related to him that, you know, he's not meant to see? It really is really worrying of who this man is. Okay. We seen him the other day and he lied and said it wasn't him, he was just a worker. But it was him because it's his name on the plans. So yeah, just everything the same really. The noise, the parking, and the extra people in the area. You know, we had problems with county lines. That seems to have settled down, but now it's getting back up again. If, you know, it's just worrying who these people are really, and the fact that my child's from Wolverhampton and is a protected child.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will discuss it a little bit once we go down the agenda a little bit. You're welcome to stay. What I would say with your letters and the lady that's just spoke, if you've got that written down about the child protection, get it all sent to Shropshire Council. We're not the planning authority. We do have a voice on, you know, or some say towards it, but we're not the planning authority. But you need to get all them concerns into Shropshire, into the planning. Okay? You can stick them all in one envelope and send them to... Pardon? Whatever you feel you want to put, and you're safe to put, stick that in the plan into Shropshire Council. You'll get the address off the website. They've moved to the Guildhall now in Shrewsbury, so it's not Shire Hall anymore, so just check the address. Okay? No, I would put it in an envelope and put personal or whatever on it, and you know, put safety issues and do it that way. But the others, you can stick them all in one if you want to send them off or send them individually. Okay, thank you very much. Right, item 2 on the agenda. Apologies for absence. You're welcome, thank you. Okay, apologies if you've got them.
Yeah, apologies have been received from Councillors Stackhouse, Price, Wadey, Isherwood, Milner and Jones.
Excuse me, Councillor Price, did wish his absence, the reason for his absence to be recorded.
Councillor Price, he's not here to speak up, so he can't.
Yeah, we accept the apologies. Okay, to close with councillors' interest, if there's anything, please shout out relating to the code of conduct and we can get it noted. Item 3, minutes of the meeting we had on the 19th of February. Yep.
Oh, yes. I'm afraid, James, it's the bit that you declared an interest in, so I think you'd probably better leave the meeting for this, because if you declared an interest, the minute concerns that item. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So it concerns a minute of applications 25-00414/4, which is, well, I know this bit isn't confidential. He knows this bit. Yes, seconded. Okay, which concerns 69 Church Street. Remember, it was the application for the former Brooks on the corner, which was for a conversion into 9 units. I think the minute reflects some of the discussion. However, when that minute was taken up by the clerk and put to the Shropshire Council, he ticked the box to say that the Town Council was neutral. I do not believe that reflects the discussion that was held around this table, and I believe that we would object to 9 units. We said we felt a smaller number of units would be acceptable, but we were not looking at a smaller number of units. We were looking at 9 units, and I think that misrepresents the council's position. So I am seeking clarification in minutes that the minutes should say that we object to 9 units, but a lesser number of units may be acceptable. And then that's clear what the Town Council consideration was, and that's my view. Having been at the meeting, other people at the meeting can vote on, agree with me or disagree with me, but I think I've been challenged on this. Okay. It's quite important that the minute reflects. And probably going forward, I hadn't really thought about this, because the clerk has to decide whether we're neutral or objective or in favour. We ought to do that for him. It's not, it's
Yes.
a tough call for him, and we really need to be challenged to say,
we normally
okay.
do, in all fairness, don't we? We're either
I thought we
say we're
did, but
objecting or whatever.
I do understand in this,
Yeah.
perhaps we weren't clear enough.
Right.
Because we were positive about the potential for units, but
Yeah.
negative about 9.
Yeah.
And on that application, that's an objection, not a neutral
Can we
comment.
get you or Aaron to play the
So,
recording back? And
I think we just need to change the minute to say we object to 9 units. That's the minute, and then
Yeah.
he'll have to change the response.
Yeah.
But a lesser number of units may be acceptable.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
you got that? Yeah.
Do you want to vote on that so we can
Okay.
vote on the minutes for
Yeah,
that amendment?
propose it. Can we have a seconder that we do that? Yeah, all in favour? Yep.
Let James back in now.
Oh, you wanted that, sorry. Yeah, no, that's fine, well spotted. No, well, yeah, excellent. Yeah, no, I'll get Aaron and Henry to have a playback, and then he can bung us an email out and get the minutes altered.
So I'll get you to sign these and get them amended, then we'll sign them.
Yeah. So when that's checked and altered, we're happy with the rest of it, yeah? Okay, thank you. Right. Item 4, right. Let me get my piece of paper here. So, on the planning tonight, we've got 25000791 8 Hawthorne Grove, Osser Street. Extension and change of use of a residential property to a 9-bed HMO. Before we discuss it, the paperwork you've had handed out was delivered by Mr. Bennett on behalf of Councillor Price. I think you just need to be careful with that one, because we are in Purda, running up to election time, so if you want to scan it, I've scanned it. Some of it's kind of okay, some of it's not quite correct, what I've seen of it, but just making you aware as that as chair of the council, okay? Right, open to discussion. We've read the letters from the residents and the concerns. Councillor Rowe.
I've read the objections online. There are only 5 objections and 1 in favour online, but they much reflect what all the people have said here. And in my view, it's completely ridiculous. I mean, 9 bedrooms with 1 shared kitchen and 1 bathroom. Someone online was saying perhaps doctors are all short of space, perhaps they'd like it. I can't imagine they want to share one. one
Yeah.
kitchen between them.
The-
It's far too over-intensified. You know, so not just for the residents who have all the issues with parking, but also to actually put people into that house is not acceptable level.
Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, just to add, thanks to members of the public who came in for this discussion. By background, I used to be an environmental health officer that specialised in inspecting houses in multiple occupation, which this could be. And I'm old, aren't I? So I was doing that 40 years ago. I had hoped we'd see the last of this style of accommodation where people are forced to share kitchens and bathrooms. I just don't think there's any need for that in the times we're living in. But in terms of planning, and we have to decide these things on planning, and certain things which I know are very emotive things, unfortunately aren't considerable as a planning matter. So, some people have said it might affect their house value. It might do, but unfortunately that can't be taken into account in a decision on planning, because the applicant has a right to appeal, and if we make a decision on that, they would win their appeal, because you can't make a planning decision on those grounds. But there are grounds we can refuse it on, and I move that we do object to this and recommend it is refused. It is out of keeping with the character of the area. This is all family housing in the area and no multiple occupation units in the area, so firstly it's completely out of keeping. There is inadequate provision for parking. Already, as you've said, there's pressure on parking in the area and isn't insufficient highways and parking facilities, and I'll probably go further, and outdoor amenity areas are provided, and there's an over-intensification to take a house and have 9 units of accommodation shared. I think is over-intensification. I can't believe that the proposal would actually be licensable. It's a bit weird. You can get planning permission for it, but then you actually need a license from the council to operate it. And the council's got a set of standards, and they say how many people can share a kitchen and how many people can share a bathroom. And I can't believe this would actually meet their standard. Unfortunately, you can still get planning permission for that, but I don't think on this case you should do, because it's over-intensification. There's too many units in that area, in that location. So I move we recommend refusal on those grounds.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maguire?
I'd like to second that motion. It is, we've all probably driven down there at some point. I used to have, before she passed away, a family member that lived on the corner. That road was always absolutely, almost impossible to get down. People would be parking on the grass verges. There'd be, there was just nowhere for people to park currently, let alone to add a possible another 9, 10, 11 cars down there, whatever it might be. So, yeah, I'd second that motion. I think it's over-intensified, out of keeping, possible issues with residents with vulnerable children. I don't know if that would be part of the planning. That wouldn't be, but, that is a serious concern.
Thank you. Yep. Jonathan?
Originally, it was just going to second it, but I echo everyone's concerns about it being out of keeping and it being a complete logistical nightmare for everyone who lives there.
Okay, thank you.
A further recommendation that we also ask the local members, there's 2 local members, to call this in for consideration by committee. The last application in this area wasn't considered by the committee, and I've been given, sorry for members of the public, when a planned application is submitted to Shropshire Council, it can either be decided by officers, and the vast majority are, because many of them are non-contentious, or it goes in front of councillors like you've got here today, but Shropshire councillors, and you can attend, and it's councillors who are elected who would then make the decision. And the local councillors, who are John Price, I know, has given his apologies, and Chris Schofield, are able to ask for this to go to committee rather than to be determined by officers. And I would ask that we, as a town council, ask that it be referred, that the 2 councillors actually refer it to the committee.
Yep, thank you. Okay,
Thank you. There you go. So it's a matter of the one resident brought up the waste provision with the bins. Like I live opposite a HMO, and bins are always a problem there, especially on bin day where they just sort of get piled up outside. There's never enough already, and the storage provision that was provided as part of that building isn't sufficient for the number of houses in there, despite it having passed planning permission. So this application doesn't even make accommodation for waste storage. So you're going to just have bins in front of the house and the car, using up car parking space. They haven't said where the waste is going to be stored, never mind how it's going to accommodate this thing. So I feel like I'm happy to support the motion by Councillor Kurth.
Thank you very much. Jonathan?
I'd also just like to add that with regards to the waste bins, that in the communal block where I live, we have communal dumpsters and we're having issues at the moment. So ordinary bin provision for potentially at least 9 residents per unit is going to, it's going to cause a complete chaotic meltdown.
Okay, thank you. Right, so we've had a propose and a second to object to this. You've got it written down, Henry. You've got a list of...
I've got the list.
Got the list of reasons to object. It's out of keeping. Parking, obviously, overcrowding of the property needs to be called into committee. I could probably give John and Chris a shout to make sure. And the refuge, I think, is an excellent one. So I hadn't thought of that. That's an excellent one. The only thing I will say with it, I was totally against it when I read the first bit, but when you actually look at they're doing quite a bit of building on it, aren't they, to sort of try to make it a little bit better. 2 bathrooms, a bigger kitchen, but when you actually look at the plot of land, when you've got the cars on the front, there's very little space or recreational space or anything else. So it's totally out of character for the situation and the place of where it is. So if you can comment on that. Yeah, well, no, it doesn't really. It's hard to see off the plan what I'm looking at, whether that existing plan roof, proposed plan roof.
It's one of the plans, so it is in the application pack. So the from above, you can see that there's like a line where it comes away from the property.
Yeah.
But actually on the boundary goes at a diagonal to the property. So they've added a bit of extra land away from the property, which they're then building into the other person's land.
Probably we can just put a comment on that as well. Just to check the land take of the proposed new buildings. Okay, so for the residents, if you're happy with that, we obviously object to it. You've heard what the comments are.
Can you just do a vote? You've had a motion, you've seconded, we haven't voted on it.
Oh, we need a vote for it. Good, because we're all in agreement. Yeah, everybody unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Henry. Keep me on my toes. But please get them letters sent in, whether you email or post them, whatever you do, you need to get them in, okay? Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome to stay, or you can leave. It's completely up to you if you want to stick around. Then one more agenda item. If you want to leave, you can leave, but there is one more item on the agenda which you can stick around for if you want to.
Is it to do with labels? Is that what you not being rude, you're leaving to what you know what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, I'll just read the next couple out. 2500262, 103 Cabin Lane, change of use. That was to a children's care home. That was granted permission. And 2500110, Brynhavid Drive, erection of a garage. That was granted as well. The other thing we have on tonight are the phone boxes. They're obviously, BT are having another round of removing phone boxes. There's one operational one for us, which is number 22 on the list, and that's in Middleton Road, Ozer Street. So I don't know how much use it has yet, Councillor.
I don't suspect it hasn't very much use at all, but the usage of phone boxes, where they are used, tends to be for crucial use. When the last review was coming in 2020, there was a considerable number of calls to emergency services. There were considerable numbers of phone calls to Childline, to Samaritans, and while I'm sure it's not cost effective for BT to maintain it, I do feel that Oswestry should have a phone box for the last resort for people who need it. And obviously the same goes for the ones in the surrounding areas, but we're not dealing with that today. But I feel that it's important that it stays. We've got the criteria for things to stay. It doesn't have coverage from all four mobile network providers. An area located with high frequency of accidents or suicides, more than 52 calls in the last 12 months and more than one a week. I'm not sure it would qualify on any of those three. But the other evidence of a reasonable need for a public call box, I would say there is that need, because if you're in a domestic violence situation, for instance, and there's someone who's got coercive control over your phone, that sort of thing as a last resort is something that we should keep.
Okay. Yep. Councillor
I think the one thing that's been happening with some of the other phone boxes is they've added defibrillators into them as well. So when you link in, having a position for a safe place for a defibrillator that isn't just being attacked by other people, and a phone, the fact that somebody can, in emergency, who doesn't necessarily have a mobile phone on them, ring 999 and get the defib and get the code, I think you are potentially losing a real community asset there.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan?
Thank you. I agree with what Councillor Coburn says about them being a last resort for communities in dire need. I guess what we also need to take into consideration is that BT are considering, or whether it BT or whether it be Ofcom, are considering withdrawing the old-fashioned telephone lines within the next couple of years. So unless they planned on converting what remaining telephone kiosks they have left to the new digital system, they'd be having to remove them anyway. So that was more just to take into consideration as well.
Thank you. Councillor Maguire?
To be fair, the two councillors this side of the room both said exactly the same things as I was concerned about. And the other thing I would say as well is they're obviously talking about having to leave the old-fashioned red telephone boxes in place because they are protected. So that, as you rightfully said, those telephone, because it says in here that they would be locked. Well, they could be left unlocked and, as you rightfully said, have a defib. And some rural areas actually put books and stuff like that in there for people to swap over. So they take a book and replace it with another book. So they become like a hub as well. So I agree with Councillor Coburn and I agree with yourself as well. Both are extremely valid points, and I think that this should be noted in some way to BT. And as you rightfully said, there must be a way these days. The telephone wires are all travelling along the pavements where it could be made digital. So I totally agree with everything that's been said already.
Okay, thank you. Right, so basically, to sum up, we're objecting to the removal of the box in Middleton Road. We believe a phone should be there for emergency use. Yeah. Anybody? Yeah. Go on.
The only thing I was going to add is also, given that access to the police station from members of the public at any time of the day or night is limited these days, and they can't just turn up, having a telephone box is just another step to ensure the safety and resilience of our community.
Yeah. Yeah, if we put it's priority for public safety. Yep. And just, yeah, that's just words around that. Are we all happy with that? Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, we've done that in Whittington. We've got one live phone, and then we've got defibs in one at Ballinswood. There's books and a defib in one of the little villages. Yeah, they're ideal for the defib because people know where the phone box is. So, yeah. Okay. Right, so just before I close the meeting, I'd like to thank you all for voting me to be chair of planning for 12 months. I've enjoyed it, so thank you for that. And good luck and best wishes to all that are going forward in the election. So I'll now close the meeting.